welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of May. I hope you are well. Using the Llewellyn Tarot for you today. I know these are late. Thank you very much for waiting for me. I do appreciate it. So, since we've had quite a few new people join the channel recently, I thought we would go through how the mid-months differ from the main monthly reading. So welcome if you are new, by the way, and thank you for returning if indeed you are. In the mid-month readings we are looking for the lesson, in so much as I believe that there is wisdom or indeed a lesson contained within every experience and interaction that we have in the here and now, if we are open to seeing it. And too often we're not, because we get bogged down with the minutiae of day-to-day life, you know. And in retrospect, hindsight being 2020 as it is, sometimes at a future point we can look back and go, I can see exactly why all of those doors closed and why I was being pushed this way and what I had to learn, you know. So this is an exercise in perspective, if you will. It's a way of pulling back from your current circumstances that you're in right now and seeing where they're trying to take you, right? What is trying to be taught to you here? Almost invariably, it's teaching you something about yourself. But at other times it can be, you know, showing you those things that need to be released, or indeed those things that need to be embraced. I'm inclined towards the former, on account of the fact that we have just had that full moon in Scorpio with a lunar eclipse to boot, and so certainly the main thrust of the monthly readings seem to be around releasing, like working through things, getting out of our own way, avoiding self-sabotage, or, you know, facing our self-sabotage head on and getting rid of the concrete boots that are stopping us from moving forward. So to that end, what we're going to do is pull 3 cards for your current energy, and then 3 cards as to why you are in that energy in the first place, and we'll close out with 3 cards of advice. Like I said, it's an exercise in perspective, so I hope that that makes sense. Let's get you some cards. 3 cards for Pisces current energy, please. Well, there's the first one. We have the King of Pentacles. Second card here is the 2 of Swords in reverse. I like this very much. And one more card for Pisces. Thank you. We have the Knight of Swords, Wands. It's clearly the Knight of Wands. Right. This is interesting, because we've got the 8 of Cups at the bottom of the deck, absolutely speaking to things being left behind. And notice on the 8 of Cups, it's always an eclipse that is pictured. We have just had that big eclipse. We've got the 8 of Cups and the 3 of Wands. And the first thing that strikes me about these shadow cards at the bottom of the deck is that both of the characters depicted have their back to us, right? There is definitely a sense of you moving away from something, leaving something behind. Like we see in this 8 of Cups, you see the way that the cups are stacked so that there's one missing. The one that's missing is the 9 of Cups. And the 9 of Cups is all about your own personal emotional well-being, right? What lights you up emotionally, what makes you feel valid and wonderful and fulfilled out in the world, right? This dude is going, well, these 8 cups that I had aren't really any good. Right? I'm going after my 9th cup. I'm going to go and find the 9 cups of fulfillment, and sometimes wishes and things like that. Because what I have now is no longer, really, I mean, the way to look at it is it's no longer resonating at the same frequency you are for whatever reason. And then we've got this 3 of Wands here, again with his back to us, saying like, kind of looking in a different direction now. I'm not interested in what I've got here. I need to go somewhere else. Now that can be a situation that is right in front of you. Right? It could be situations with relationships, you know, friends, family, or significant others. But it could be something deeper and much more emotional going on. You've got to take it as it resonates to you. But there's definitely a shift away from something and a turning towards something else. This is the important thing. We're not just walking away for the sake of it. There is a direction that is being illuminated at this time, and that's the route that you're taking. it involves necessarily leaving something else behind. So the energy of your current moment is quite interesting because it feels illuminated. I think that's the best way to put it. We've got the King of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands sitting either side, and these are two energies that kind of conflict with each other, right? There's a little bit of tension between these. On the one hand, we've got the solid and stable King of Pentacles, you know, the culmination of the Pentacle suit, or at least the active expression of the Pentacle suit, right? So this is about your time and your care and your effort and your money and your love and where you choose to invest them. When the King of Pentacles turns up, this is somebody who is very comfortable in the notion of investing and will look for things to actively invest in. Because it's the card of Taurus too. We just did have a solar eclipse in Taurus at the end of April there. There are quite practical matters that are brought up. So, you know, where you live, what you eat, you know, the things that are solid around you in the material. And then on the other side, we've got the Knight of Wands, Sagittarius energy, mutable fire, always on the move. You know, there's a kind of restlessness with the, well, not kind of, it is absolutely a restlessness with Sagittarius, right? And never, ever staying still, right? The interesting thing is that the energies of each of these is anathema to the other. So we've got an interesting kind of situation where we've got the very planted, very grounded energy of Taurus, and then we've got this mutable, changeable, somewhat more freedom-loving energy of Sagittarius on the other side. And the thing that is connecting the two of them is the Two of Swords. And I actually really like this for you, Pisces. I like this a lot because if you've watched my channel before, you know that my key phrase for this card here is kind of willful ignorance, which makes it sound really, really harsh, but it's a subconscious thing. Character here in this card's got a blindfold across her eyes, right? And she's got these two swords here. But the moon is to her back and the sea is to her back. Now, in the tarot, the moon, you know, indicates your intuition, your deeper self, you know, higher self almost in some ways, actually. And then the sea is the amount of emotion that can be tapped into at any given point, right? As a water sign, this is particularly important for you. But she appears to be covering, you know, stopping any kind of input from this really useful stuff behind her. She's got her eyes covered. She's like, I'm not even going to see it. I'm turning around to make sure that even if the blindfold slips, I'm not going to accidentally catch sight of the moon. And I'm going to keep my decision making between these two swords here, right? This is a purely intellectual concern. The thing is, she's trying so hard to avoid what is innate within her that it feels to me like the decision's already made. You just don't like the outcome, right? And this is where this willful ignorance idea comes from, because she's depriving herself of something that would help inform her decisions if she let it, and she's not letting it do that. But I like the fact that it's in the reverse for you, because this shows me that you have noticed possibly some of your blind spots. But more importantly, you are willing to take action on them. You're willing to do something about it. You know, it's an internal decision making. It's got an internal decision making aspect to it here. But this is kind of a refusal to make the decision, and this is the acceptance that a decision must be made. And I feel like the blind spot, if you will, that you had is that you didn't realize that there were two of these, that there were these polarities working within you, right? So there is the extreme on one side of this Sagittarian energy, wanting to be free, wanting to wander, wanting to experience everything. And then there's this very planted energy of the King of Pentacles, possibly, you know, talking to far more practical aspects of what it is that you're trying to do at the moment, whereas Sagittarius is pretty impractical in a lot of ways, right? But it's coming straight from the heart. It is about the joy of experiencing for experience's sake. It's also the here and now, which the King of Pentacles is not. The King of Pentacles is very much more about delayed gratification and how we work. We follow a very prescribed set of steps to get to where we are. There are no shortcuts here, whereas I feel like the Knight of Wands is all about shortcuts. So realizing that these two energies are working on you at this time, it feels to me like you are much, much better placed to be able to make decisions that might not entirely please both extremes, but it's an understanding that they are extremes, and somewhere in the middle is where Pisces gets to exist in a way that feels like it's authentic to you. Where's my deck gone? There's my deck. Right. It's a really interesting energy, because these two cards under here do speak to movement, right? Whether that's emotional or physical or whatnot, right? It's movement. And the King of Pentacles seems to be saying, yeah, like, it's okay for you to keep moving around. It's all right for you to do that. I mean, you're a mutable water sign, right? So a certain amount of movement is required for you. But pay attention to your grounding. How are you grounding yourself? There are ways in which these two can speak together in a way that is quite complementary if you pay attention. It's when you try to err too far towards one or the other that you're going to find yourself in trouble. So let's have a look and see why Pisces is in this energy of realization, which is how it feels to me at the moment. We've got the Four of Wands, we've got the Empress right there, more Taurus energy, and we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Now the Four of Wands is my card of home, and it's interesting because home and house, or house and home, are two things that Taurian energy is extremely interested in too. So but with the Four of Wands, it's more about the way that you experience it. I mean, it's also a card of celebration. It can sometimes be a card of weddings and things. But the way I like to describe this card is that the Four of Wands for me is the people that you would call if you had really, really good news and you wanted to share it with someone. Like, who are the people that you would call? Like, they are home to you. If you had something to celebrate, where would you go? Like, that is home to you also. You know, it's a state of being, it's a state of living, rather than necessarily, you know, four walls or whatnot. But the Empress is here too, meaning that these practical things kind of need some consideration. She's also speaking, I've been corrected, I just tapped and said, it's the other thing. She's also speaking to the creativity and the newness that is kind of sparkling around you at the moment, that really it wants to pull your attention in a different direction, but you're being asked to pull all of these things in together, because the Wheel of Fortune is here saying that there is movement coming ahead, right? There is a direction of travel that is going to be revealed to you very soon. Now that you have seen what you did not see before, now you realize that there are these two aspects of you that are asking to be honored at the same time. It's like, sit down and consider how this is going to happen. How are you going to make this work? Because there's the draw of the creative and the, I want to say exotic, actually, interestingly enough. There's the draw of these, but there is also the necessity to make sure that the practical things are taken care of, you know. The Empress is the divine feminine, and there's, you know, as the divine feminine, there is a certain chaotic wildness about her. You know, it's very natural. It is of nature. And it's very, very powerful, very creative, and very much under your control. It could well be the creative way that you have to interpret these two conflicting energies that are working on you, you know, when they seem to be so diametrically opposed. Like, how the fuck do you balance these two things out? Well, energetically, it seems like this is something that you need to give a bit of thought to, because home is never going to just be four walls to you, Pisces. It's got to contain something else, but you cannot live in the something else without, you know, the four walls, or, you know, whatever home is to you, to contain it. This Wheel of Fortune I find quite interesting. I'm going to pull another card for this. Let's tell me about this Wheel of Fortune, please. I'm absolutely spun out. We've got the Hanged Man, card of Pisces. So there you are, appearing in your own reading. And we've got the Tower. How interesting. Got the King of Cups at the bottom of the deck, which is the Scorpio card in the court hierarchy. We also have the Tower, which is a Scorpio card in the court hierarchy. Now, that is a humdinger of a trifecta of cards. Wheel of Fortune clarified by the Hanged Man and the Tower. I think that you are going to be, I think that you are being readied for some really quite dramatic changes moving forwards, right? And it seems to be you're being asked to get yourself on a level so that you can build on it. And it's not just, you know, the kind of level that the King of Pentacles would like, which is this really good foundation that's been dug, you know, how many feet down, I don't know, so that you can build a really solid house on top. It's also the kind of foundation that the Empress wants, right? Where she knows that she doesn't have to worry about the practical things because they have been taken care of, and now she can concentrate on the more creative side of things. But the Hanged Man and the Tower says that you are the one who will be making the changes here. Now, it feels to me like a huge part of the changes that will be wrought here come from the way that you see the world differently, when you understand that there are two bits of you that are pulling you in separate directions at this point. You know, if this card had been in the upright, that would be something that would be actually threatening to tear you up, I think, because you're just refusing to look at it. You're trying to walk this narrow line, but actually you're just kind of doing this from side to side, right? Spectacularly inefficient. I'm a Capricorn ascendant, so we like efficiency, right? This way around, it's that realization moment. It's like, well, fuck, like that bit of me wants to go that way, that bit wants to go that way. It's finding a way to talk to both sides of this in a way that you, in a way that both sides can understand, and kind of convincing them that they need to work together, right? They have actually complementary skill sets as long as they are held really neatly in balance. Because holding them neatly in balance will allow you to do whatever dramatic thing it feels to me like you are preparing yourself to do. Now, I'm kind of loath to pull any more cards on account of the fact that these are supposed to be super short. But let's have a look. What is this Tower for Pisces, please? Right. Okay. You've got the Lovers and the King of Wands. Like, you are getting ready to make some changes. And even if you have no idea, there's that Father of Cups, there's that Scorpio energy again, right? I don't know if the full moon really kicked your ass, right? That lunar eclipse that we had. But something has changed and something has shifted within you. And it feels like you are about to make some dramatic moves externally in response, because you get to choose. Right, there again, we've got these notions of balance coming in with the Lovers card, but ultimately, whatever is changing, I don't want you to be frightened. You're doing it by your own hand. And it's decisive. It's really decisive. This is what I am going to do. You know? Obviously, it's going to be different for each of you, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear that some of you just almost on a whim are like, I am moving state, I am moving to a different county, I am doing something, you know, I'm going to do something really quite dramatic moving forwards. Because it feels like you're harnessing these two very necessary aspects of you. Yes, they are extremes, but harnessing them to take your creativity, but also your stability to another level. Wow. Okay. Give me some cards of advice for Pisces, please. Fuck. Right. So, the two cards that gamboled out together there were the Two of Wands and the Nine of Cups. Are we surprised to see the Nine of Cups? We are not. That is. Thank you. We have the Queen of Cups. There's the other side of the balance emotionally. One more for Pisces, please. And we have the Star. This is fascinating, Pisces. So, you know, we spoke about the need to make a decision, and sometimes that's what the Lovers card talks about too. It is making a decision, or the need to make a decision, or, you know, the act of making a decision. That's what's going on there. It's be aware that there are decisions that are needing to be made moving forwards, right? You know this already, we've got the Two of Wands, right? But they need to absolutely take into account what is, I'll just have a look at that there, right? What is going to make you happy, right? We've got two different itches being scratched on both sides, or the potential for two. The center point is what makes you feel fulfilled, what makes you feel happy, what makes you feel comfortable, you know? Ironically, it feels like you're going to make yourself briefly quite uncomfortable in order to get to the comfortable place, right? But the Nine of Cups is the important thing here. The wish. What do you want, Pisces? And we've got the Queen of Cups and the Star, right? Now the Star card is also a card that speaks of wishes and goals and dreams. You know, what is it that you're reaching for, Pisces? Gosh, did we not talk about this in the monthly read? Like, what do you want? Just go and get it, you know? I feel like there's a big aspect of that here. We've got this Queen of Cups, you know, it's the Queen of Cups is receptivity squared. You know, she's water of water. She is the most watery card in the tarot. It's interesting that it's Cancer rather than Pisces. I would have made her a Pisces card personally, I think. Fuck, dropping cards everywhere. But she's about the way that we receive, you know, and it's particularly about the way that you receive what makes you happy here. There's this kind of implied, there's the Two of Wands again. There's this kind of implied idea that, see what that Seven of Cups there, that it's the Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Look at the repeating cards here, that's nuts. That sometimes you have issues with what makes you happy. Okay, right. With what makes you happy rather than everybody else, right? It's something that you did a lot of work on last year, but it still raises its head every now and again. Possibly it is that you don't really know where you're going, what you're doing with anything, but there's still this overwhelming sense that decisions need to be made and changes need to be wrought. And it's confusing. But the guidance for you this month is the Nine of Cups. Because leaning into whatever gives you joy, whatever makes you happy, and following that and nothing else, you know, and making sure that you're not trying to please everybody else in the process. Because the Star it's guiding you, it's taking you somewhere. But just, you know, what we've got is a kind of implied Chariot energy that's permeating the entire reading, because you've got these two, like I said, diametrically opposed energies sitting either side here, and they want to go in a direction which isn't necessarily where you want to go, and you need to harness them both and go forwards in a straight line so that you can go towards what makes you happy, what lights you up, you know, what makes you feel celebratory. Just sit with it, Pisces. But pay attention to these polarities and, you know, look to find ways to mesh them together, how they can both be happy, how they both feel like they are supporting where you want to go. Fascinating. Right, I shall leave it there. I hope that this helped. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.